Yeah, what is going on, everybody? We are back with another episode of From My Experience podcast. The energy is already high because of the special guest that I have. There's some history here. There's some Claflin family love here. There is some black excellence here, and I cannot wait to get into this interview. But y'all know I got to thank you all for continuing to support all of our listeners. Those of you who are liking, sharing, subscribing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know you can follow us on Instagram, FME_podcast, and join the Facebook group From My Experience Podcast. Don't forget to check out our affiliate link. It'll be in the description. We have Acre Gold, Garner's Garden, Retro Mimi, Blackwater, and Jot Forms. We have another affiliate coming soon.
Awesome.
Got another affiliate coming soon. They sell vegan healthcare products. So yeah, y'all, when I get some things sorted, y'all will have that. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, now this special guest, y'all know I like to give people their flowers before I have them, begin to speak. So this person, we went to Claflin University together, the Claflin University. This brother has always been cool, calm, collected, smooth, mind his business, will crack a joke, okay? Quiet, but yeah, don't try to play him, okay? And he's a hard-working brother. I really admire what he is doing, especially because of the location that he's in. I know that the competition is extremely heavy, and the industry that you've chosen to tackle is a serious one. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we have the founder, creator, and owner of the Jwhite Consulting Firm. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jarvis White. Woo!
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate this a lot. I do appreciate this.
So, no problem, man. No problem. We're always looking to highlight people who are doing great things. So, I'm gonna try to get you to regurgitate some of what we were talking about when before we hit record. So, you were telling me that you were excited about being here. Tell the audience what you're excited about.
Well, the fact that it's just amazing to know that as Claflin family, we stick together. We do amazing things. And again, when I don't think that people are literally watching what I'm doing, they're literally paying attention more than I know. So it's like I cannot put out content that is not genuine, not transparent, not just pure at heart. So I definitely try to make sure that I do what I can for the people and being the rock star that I am. And I've literally humbleized myself to understand that when people call me that, it's because they see something in me. So when you reached out, or either when we had a conversation about being on the podcast, I was just like, okay, Rob literally wants me on this podcast, and I don't know what we're going to talk about. And I'm just like, okay, I'm ready. But I know that he is, if anybody literally is going to get the first official interview, it is going to be Robert. So I am excited about this, and I am so proud that you are doing great things. I've been following you for a while, and I've seen all of the amazing work. So hats off to you, flowers to you, literally, and congratulations on continuously doing an amazing job. So I'm excited to see what this podcast is going to do for the both of us, not just me alone, but for the both of us, and go from there. So let's get into it.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. And our listeners, man, y'all get your pen, paper, notes app, whatever you need, man. Definitely you're gonna get some gems from this one. So your journey into consulting, I don't know how far back you want to go. I guess we can go to Claflin if you want to go back further, but you were kind of telling me how, you came to Claflin. We were both education majors, and you kind of branched off. So what let you know that, I love education, I love the kids, but I have something else that I also want to do?
Well, actually coming into Claflin, I was literally the first male from both sides of the family.
Wow.
That had the opportunity to go to college.
Wow.
And going into college, I kind of put that burden on myself to be like, I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do this. No one literally put that on me. I put that on myself. And I kind of feel a little bad about it, because I'm like, you really put a lot of pressure on yourself as a young age. But then when I look at it now, I'm like, who better to do it than yourself? So when I literally did that, I looked at all of the people in my family. Like, my great grandfather was an entrepreneur. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. My dad is yet still an entrepreneur. And it is just amazing. My great grandfather, on my dad's side, my dad's grandfather was actually a sharecropper. He
Wow.
literally, they farmed, they did a number of things. And then he saved his money. He created this shopping center, this mecca of information and industry on Johns Island, where it was called the Stanley's Corner, where there was a grocery store, a laundromat, a liquor store, a drugstore, a number of things.
Wow.
And then as the family moved forward, there were some things that happened that weren't done correctly. But at the same time, knowing that we have that entrepreneurial spirit in
Mm-hmm.
our family, I took that and I said, this is what I can do. And then on my grandfather, from my dad's father, who was a brick mason, he literally built his business from nothing.
Mm.
And it was like understanding that if you want to create a legacy, or if you want to create generational wealth for yourself, this is how it looks for you as you go forward with your family. So my dad is still carrying the torch of the family business. My uncles are still, they have gone and done other things as far as other industry wise businesses, but they still know the craft. They still know the honing in of being a brick mason, on how to lay a foundation and how to do this and do that. So I know how to literally get dirty, lay brick, and pour concrete and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
from what you all know, we use like, oh, we just see Jarvis. We don't see
I would have never
dirt.
thought.
We don't see exactly. But I literally know how to lay brick, and I know how to pour concrete, and I know how to push a wheelbarrow full of brick, block, mortar, cement. I know how to do those things.
Damn.
And it literally comes from the fact that when I came to Claflin was the only place that only school, only institution that I applied to, because I knew that Claflin was the place for me. I met a number of people that went to Claflin. My aunt, God rest her soul, that went to Claflin, literally helped me get into the institution and helped me understand that this is a place that you will not be known as a number. You will be known as a
Yes.
person.
Yes.
So when I went in with the opportunity to learn and be that grasshopper, to say, okay, I'm going to open my mind and be able to understand who I'm going to be around. In the 4 years that I was there, I literally networked when I didn't even know I was networking.
Yep.
So the funny thing is, going into 2019, if you told me that Jarvis White was going to plan the convention for Claflin University, the 54th convention for Claflin University, and bringing it home to Charleston, because people don't know the history. Claflin was founded in Charleston.
Mm-hmm.
So bringing it home to Charleston and literally being the spearhead and signing your name on contracts and cultivating relationships and building these arenas that Claflin can now play in was like one of those things that I literally sat in the hotel room one night, Robert, and you are getting the first information on this. I sat in the hotel room and I cried.
Yeah.
Because I did not believe that I was literally sitting amongst like a room full of people that could change my life.
Yeah.
Or I could actually help change their life by understanding what they didn't know about Claflin. I literally had to go into the Hilltop High book. I had to literally pull out information. I then had to research and go around Charleston and find out a lot of information. So when that happened, that literally elevated the Jwhite Consulting Firm to a whole nother level. But when I left Claflin in 2006, it was like, Jarvis says now, okay, what are we going to do? So then I realized I was turning 25 in 2008. I partnered with the Ronald McDonald House. I created a whole foundation called the, Helping Hands to Smiling Faces, which lends a helping hand to put a smile on someone's face. And I partnered with the Ronald McDonald House. I literally did a fashion show on Friday night, a family fun day on Saturday, and then we went down to the Ronald McDonald House in Charleston and we did a brunch.
Nice.
So literally instead of me like thinking about what I'm going to do for my 25th,
Mm-hmm.
I literally thought about what I can give back to my community. And that's what literally happened. And that's how the business actually begun. It spun away from a nonprofit. And I was like, what in the world is happening? Like my brand got bigger than me
Yeah.
for a second. And here I am, 25. I've already put 10 years into praise dancing and liturgical dancing with my church and molding and ministering to young women and men. And then I look at them now and they're like either making great money or doing
Yes.
amazing things. And I'm like, these are 13 young, amazing kids that have done amazing things under not only my leadership, but just alone me pouring into them.
Mm-hmm.
So the brand has been a blessing for a lot of people. And not only myself, but literally when I tell you, like, it has been an amazing journey so far.
It sounds amazing, man. Wow. Like, this is a side of you I didn't know.
Right. And a lot of people don't get this story because of the fact that I really don't share it because I'm not one of those people that I'm looking for, oh my God, I didn't know you went through this and da 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 da. I'm not that person. I'm a fighter. So
Yeah.
when I fight for not only myself, but I fight for everyone. Because if I arrive, then the next thing I'm going to say, well, Robert, I just did, X, Y, and Z, and I want you to be the first person to get the story. So this is how I look at that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people may say, well, Jarvis is think he's full of himself or whatever. But when I hit the next plateau or when I hit the next, the next level, I want to be like, I know who I can go to give my story.
Same.
And they're going to narrate it the right way.
Yes.
So I'm the person that's supposed to narrate my own story. But when there are people out in that industry that I know can narrate it correctly and do it without any problem and do it effortlessly, I'm going to definitely reach out to you and say, hey, Rob, I need you to put my story out there. How can you make this happen?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. You're just tying so many things together for me right now. Like, we don't have enough outlets that are highlighting people like you. Like, especially with people who look like me, black people. We need more outlets to highlight. Yeah. I understand the entertainment industry is big. I have nothing against people who do entertainment for a living, but it's like there are people like you who grow up, who learn, who come from a strong family background, and you're out doing these great things in communities, and nobody's talking to you, nobody's highlighting what you're doing. And other people need to see that. Like, you don't have to be a super megastar to be having an amazing life, to be doing meaningful things. And again, nothing against them, but I'm like, I see these things and I'm like, yo, I want to hear this story. I want to know more about that. And I want other people to hear it because I want other people who are doing similar things to speak up and to share. Because there's a lot of us. And like you said, networking. Networking is a huge thing. That's what I learned at Claflin. We definitely, let me tell y'all, there's a double-edged sword to not being a number. Because everybody knows, when you walking across campus and one of your professors says, Mr. Wilson,
Exactly.
Or Mr. White.
And the amazing part about that, Rob, when you touched on that, the amazing part about it is, at the same time, we can call Claflin. Like, you already know if I need to get a transcript, you know who to call. If you need to, like, if you are a present day student, if you need, and you know that you have an alum that you can connect with, you call a person and be like, hey, I need you to talk to X, Y, and Z or see what. And it's not necessarily saying, using your lifelines to your advantage, but using them in a way that would make sense. Like, my aunt was one of those people that helped me get into Claflin. So when my aunt helped me get into Claflin, I had already knew in name dropping, like Dr. Ratliff, Mrs. Ratliff. I already knew who Dr. Durant was. I already knew who President Tisdale was. I already knew who Miss Alice Carson Tisdale was. I already knew certain people at the school because my aunt literally, when she went to summer school, I went up there for a summer and I got to meet Dr. Ratliff personally. So it was like when I met Dr. Ratliff when I was at Claflin, Dr. Ratliff remembered that summer when I actually met him because I met Grady, the man from Sanford and Son.
Oh, wow.
Like, he came in that summer to do a summer series or whatever. that they had scheduled at Claflin, and he came in and he talked to that class, and I met him. Like literally, I could never forget never forget that, because Grady, he was the same person. Like you would think that a character, you would turn your character off. He came into the auditorium in the business school of business,
Yeah.
and he literally was the same character. He was the same person. Like I was looking at TV, like he acted the same way. So it was like, this is where I want to go, because if I'm able to meet like somebody like the character from Sanford and Son, like the best friend to Sam Red Fox, it was like amazing.
Yeah.
So like when I found out that President Obama was going to be president, I was like, y'all, he walked on Legacy Plaza. Like I walked past him and didn't even know who he was. I knew he was the senator, but at the same time, I didn't know he was going to be our president. So at the same time, it's like, oh, hey, how you doing? Thank you for coming to Claflin. And then all of a sudden you turn around and you like bidding to be president, and then you become president. It's like, that man been at Claflin 4 years ago. Yeah. Like, and these are the things that people don't really pay attention to, and they don't understand. Like when they say, oh, state, and then you got Claflin. I'm like, whoa. You might want to remember, Claflin came before state. I said it's just easy to say state because it's a state-funded school, but Claflin is the mother to South Carolina State. If it wasn't for Claflin, there would be no state. So I'm always educating people on the history of Claflin because they need to know. They're not aware.
And there is a difference. No shade.
A big one. A big one.
No shade. But there's a difference.
A huge one. A huge. I wish the people could see my face and my hands. There's a huge one.
You're going to be one of our first live interviews. I'm going to tell you that now. We're going to...
Oh, my...
So I just leaked an announcement for y'all, but we're working on some things. Live interviews or lives, whatever, live streams, and actually YouTube recorded videos. They're coming.
Oh my God.
They're coming.
Oh my God. I'm excited about this.
I have the right, I believe I have the right people in place to get it done, and I've shed some fear. So
I'm excited for you, Rob. I'm literally like, listen, I don't know.
Just pray I still have my job after that.
Who is this who is this benefiting more? But I know it's going to benefit the most of us. For sure. Like, I'm here for it. I'm here.
Yeah. So tell us more about so I guess your journey into consulting. Mm-hmm. How'd you end up where you are today? Well, first of all, before I even do that, how you be dealing with these people, man? Because I did real estate. So I dealt with some difficult people. But when it comes to people planning and wanting things a particular way, and like, I couldn't do what you do. Couldn't do it.
So here's the thing. And for those of you that are listening, let us be clear. This friendship goes beyond measure. Like, I don't even think there's a ruler that can justify the friendship of this. So Robert literally knows Jarvis White. He has seen Jarvis in rare form.
Yes.
At times. In the cafeteria, on the yard. So when he asked this question, I'm not sure if he's knowledgeable of how the answer is going to come out, but I'm prepared to give him the answer. So here's the thing. And there's going to be a lot of laughing that happens through this interview. So please be prepared to just write your notes and laugh at the same time. But at the same time, on a serious note, to be honest with you, Rob, I do look towards the hills, which come with our help. And I will say our help, because I don't want to leave you out of this. Our help is very much so placed upon God, and our understanding is definitely leaning on Him.
Yes.
When it comes to events as well as just dealing with people on an everyday basis, there are a lot of things that I want to put on social media that I can't. Because if I could and still have a brand intact, I would definitely do it. But I will tell you this. I had a grandma that always told me you have to have coof in everything that you do, regardless if it's being ratchet, you being ghetto, you just being out of pocket, out of character. You still have to have some kind of coof with the things that you do. And that has always resonated with me. And then my grandfather always told me, being a gentleman does not come easy. So when people realize that you have the qualities to be a gentleman, they are going to test you. And at the end of the day, in the industry of being an event planner, a consultant, a designer, a florist, a planner, it really takes a lot out of you because people look at you as, oh, he's a man. He doesn't know color. He doesn't know floral. He doesn't know design. He doesn't know this. And when you literally start talking and you explain to them the full plan and you take them into an empty room and you show them the game plan and they're like, whoa, wait a minute. Are you sure? And I'm like, and then this is the next part that gets me. It's like, oh, I don't think our budget gonna work that. So at the end of the day, it's really not about me being in the industry. It's about the fact that if you have the dollar amount. So I literally now laugh at a lot of people that literally pick up the phone or DM me and say, hey, I'm looking to do X, Y, Z. And I'm like, well, this is going to cost this and this is going to cost this. And then the labor is going to be this. Oh, no, I can't do that. Oh, I don't know if that's possible. Again, you called me. I didn't call you.
Yeah.
And the crazy part about it is, Rob, is that God does not allow you to detour.
Mm-hmm.
Like we try to detour from ourselves and we try to detour from things in life. But when I went into the Call Me Mister program, I went in like excited, gun ho. And then I was like, no, I really see this happening. And I think I can do this. Like I can really go out there, make the money. I can, do sponsorships, collect the money and, dump it back into the community. But then God was like, you really think that's where we are with this? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're going to teach liturgical dance for 10 years at your church. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to let you live for a little while. And then I'm going to throw you back into the educational system.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Had to punch in. Sometimes there's technical difficulties, but guess what? No difficulty is too technical for me. So, what you were saying, no... I freestyled that. November.
I love it. I'm here for it. I am all here for it. So November 9th of 2020, the Boys and Girls Club gave me a call and asked me to be their program director for their program here in Charleston. And I was extremely excited about it because I was like, okay, I get to go back in. I get to mentor the kids. I get to nurture the kids. But then I was like, hold up, God, wait a minute. This was not a part of the plan. Remember, I said I wanted to be the guy that goes in, gives the money, walk back out. So again, like I was saying, we always try to create a plan for ourselves, but God always laughs. And he was like, okay, I'm going to let you live your best life. Go ahead, keep going. And then all of a sudden I'm going to pause you and then I'm going to send you right on here to do what this is. And working with the Boys and Girls Club as their campus program director, I've literally been able to mold and shape and understand what today's children and youth are experiencing in the life that we are now living. Mm-hmm. And these young men and women are, they're I don't want to say confused, but they're puzzled about what to do next. And I'm so thankful that God chose me to go back into the educational field, to be that person, to be the, I don't want to say like the Dr. King or the Malcolm X, but when people say certain things, I'm like, wait a minute, you got to understand, you're looking at the child from now, at right now. I said, ask me how I'm looking at that child. I'm looking at that child from 5 years from now, and I see that they're going to do great things if we instill in them what needs to go on now. If they
Yes.
understand what's happening now, then we can literally see a change 5 years from now or
Yes.
2 years from now. So a lot of things happen, Robert, that we are not prepared for, that we always have to stay ready for.
Yes.
And I'm gonna say that again. A lot of things happen that we're not ready for, prepared for, but we have to stay ready for. And it's just crazy how it happens, because you will sit in your house and you'll be like, wait a minute, God, hold on, I gotta go get a shot, because you just had me. Wait a minute, God, hold on. I may need to take me a whole glass, because
I got a shot at a glass.
but as a young entrepreneur,
Yeah.
a lot of people only see the end result. They don't
Yeah.
really see what we go through. They don't understand that there are going to be moments when we only have $5 to our name.
Yep.
We got to put food in our stomach. We got to put gas in our car. Our insurance on our car is due. Rent might be due. Insurance for something else might be due, or whatever case may be. And they don't understand that we are literally trying to move from the next day to the next day.
Yep.
But yet still all they see is what we put on social media, or when they see us in person, they'd be like, oh, you look good, and da 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, I look good, but what do you want me to do? Look bad? You want me to look rough? Right?
You just touched on something that to look bad. So I want to touch on that because my mom actually commented on my Facebook post the one we were talking about before we started recording, and she was like, "Well, I said something like I remember how I didn't even know what I was gonna eat. Like I've been that broke." And she was like, "Well, you never had to worry about food." Like I know she was saying that because she cooks, and I
Right.
could have asked my mom for anything. But there's a point in your life where it's like you look at a situation and you take responsibility for the part that you played in it, and you say, you know what, I need to go through this. Because when you go through it, when you know that you can pick up the phone and call somebody and they fix your life every single time, you can't grow from that. You become dependent.
Exactly.
I went through these broke times, and I mean, I'm in Charleston where I have aunts, uncles, cousins. Like, I have college-educated people throughout my family with great careers that will do anything for me. But I'm like, no, use irresponsible with your money. So now deal with the consequences of your actions. So now that I went through it and I know what I had to do to fix it, oh no, we're not going back. Like,
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
we not going back.
Hello.
We not going back.
Hello.
And I didn't want to become the family member that every time I call, the
Yeah,
first thing that
they
pops in
know.
your head is, what does he want now? I didn't want to be
Exactly.
I was starting to become that person, but I stopped. I've given money back to people. Like now I'm like, hey, do you need something? You know?
Right.
But I think that's the part, like that the beautiful struggle is what I call it, man. Like people really don't know. Like social media and being an entrepreneur is great. Now it's fun to be your own boss
Right.
and to control things, but understand social media glorifies the end result. They don't talk about the work. The work you think you don't like your job. Wait till you have to make your own schedule, your own calendar of events, your own pricing yourself.
So here's the thing.
Go ahead.
There have been, like, the whole month of half of April. I don't want to say the whole month. Half of April, I actually experienced a moment to where it's like, damn, I got to get out of bed. I got to go do this. I have to go do that.
Yeah.
And the funny thing was, the last 4 days of April, I slept on my couch. Every night that I slept on my couch, I popped up at 7:30. I did what I needed to do. I was out the door.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the fact that, you spend a little money for comfort because your bed is supposed to be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, when you know that you have to get up, but you hitting the snooze button and saying, oh, I need 10 more minutes, 15 more minutes, 20 more minutes, and then your 15, 20 more minutes turn into a whole hour or an hour or two, then now you're looking at the fact that, okay, this is where the problem comes in.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the problem lies. So if you're not making money while you're sleeping and you know you're not there yet, get your butt up, get out there, and make that money.
Yep.
If you know that you have connections to where you can pick up your phone and say, hey, I'm looking to do X, Y, and Z, pick up the phone. Don't be scared to say, hey, this is what it is. Don't be scared to say what it's not. And that's why from the Jwhite Consulting Firm, I've actually moved more so into a concierge piece. And I want to talk about that little as we go further into the conversation of the interview. But I want to make sure that people understand that from the brand that I've created, I didn't create this brand with, $150,000. I created this brand with $0. And like, if you go on my Instagram, or you go on my Facebook, or you go on my Twitter, or you go on my LinkedIn, you look at my followers or my connections, these are people that if I picked up my phone and said, hey, I need some insight, can you help me? They will literally give me the insight that I need. It's not the fact that they're going to say, oh, well, Jarvis, what do you need now? It's not the fact that that's what they're going to say. It's going to be like, oh, Jarvis, how can I help you now?
Yes.
Where are we? Where are we with everything? And that's the key point. You want people to say, how can I help you now? Where are you with the last time we talked?
Yes.
Because if there is no growth, then how are you expected to see financial wealth? How are you expected to see, if you have children, how are your children going to like live off of the experience that you've created? And I try to live through the fact that if people don't understand that the Jwhite Consulting Firm and the Rockstar movement, the true Rockstar Moments, is an experience and not just a financial gain, it is what it is. If I'm giving you an experience, I'm more than willing to get the financial gain from it all. I know that that's going to happen because if I'm giving you my best self, if I'm giving you the Rockstar experience, if you walk away from your event and you can say, I remembered X, Y, and Z, or if 6 months down the line and you're still living in the moment, that's an experience.
Yep.
That is an absolute experience. Like I tell people all the time and they laugh at me, I'm like, it's the little things for me. Like right now, when I get off of this interview with you, I'm going to live in this moment for maybe at least another week.
Wow.
But in my head, I'm going to be like, what's next? Where are we going from here? Because at the same time, it's like, I was like, okay, I'm getting ready to do an interview with Robert. And like, I remember Robert from Claflin, and this is like amazing that he's transitioned and elevated and evolved into the man that he is now. And now all of a sudden he's like, hey, I don't mind interviewing you. Let's go ahead and move forward and let's do this in X, Y, and Z. And it's amazing because like I tell people all the time, if I move up to the next level and if I've reached out to you now and you haven't responded back or tried to collaborate in some way, shape, or form, when I move up to the next level and I'm either on TV or doing an interview X, Y, and Z with a big name interviewer, don't reach back around and say, hey, can I get an interview with you? No.
People want to wait till you're at the pinnacle.
Right. They don't want to get in on the tunnel. Like I tell people, it's easy to do the crawl, like the belly crawl, and like literally you trying to get to the end. You see the light, but then all of a sudden you have to pause because you're tired, and then you want to give up. But then you realize how close you are, and then you keep moving and you keep moving and you keep moving, and then you take another break. And it's like, oh my God, I need something to drink. I don't have any water. So what am I going to thirst? What am I going to quench my thirst? How am I going to get that next information? Then God tells you, call so-and-so. Oh, I don't want to call so-and-so because they're going to think less of me. Really? It's how you use your words.
Yes.
I don't play off of them. I play on them. If I'd say, Robert, I want to do a partnership with you and X, Y, and Z, I have to now live up to my expectation because I'm reaching out to you to say, this is the partnership that I want to do, and I want you to be a part of it. If I drop the ball, it's no more than fair for you to say, well, Jarvis, you dropped the ball, and why did you do X, Y, and Z? Hold me accountable.
Yes.
And we don't hold each other accountable enough to make sure that we are on the same page. We are willing to tear each other down before we hold each other up.
Yep.
And I can't do that. Like, if you've ever noticed on social media, I've never taken a person or read a person for filth unless it was necessary. Now, again, the disclaimer was given to the listeners that Robert knows me.
There's a thin line, y'all. Which is why, again, I just know the type of people he must be dealing with. And, you know, you gave a quote from your grandmother and your grandfather, and I know you living by them quotes. Because, yeah.
Scouts honor. Listen. And I ain't even been a Boy Scout. So listen. Listen to what.
Scouts honor, but I'm. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
There are some times when I just literally want to run through a person like full steam ahead. But I realized that if I put my best foot forward as the consultant that I know that I am, there is someone that attended the event, or there's someone in the atmosphere, or someone in the space that sees my hard work, that understands that I'm putting the best foot forward. And they're going to be like, hey, I noticed that you were doing X, Y, and Z, and I want to work with you. I know that, you know, it was difficult working with the past client, but I promised that I would do the next. And that has happened. And that's why from that moment, I've been able to put the pettiness aside, put, you know, the foolishness aside, and be like, okay, somebody's watching. So if I lose my cool, then I can't move to the next level.
Nope.
If I say something out of the way, then a person's not going to trust the brand. They're not going to trust me personally and then invest in the brand professionally. So I gotta like literally take a back seat personally on a lot of stuff. And trust me, it is very hard in this industry of event planning, marketing, hospitality and tourism, concierging. It is very hard because you sometimes just want to let a person have it, walk away, and be done. But the same time that the person you're reading into, that person can make or break you because, again, they're the client. They are the client.
Word travels fast, y'all. Everything is not. Let me tell y'all something. Real big business moves are made when someone picks up the phone and calls somebody else. Not on Twitter, Instagram. That's a piece of it. But word of mouth is serious, and it'll fall on you like a ton of bricks, and you'll never see it coming. You'll never know where it came from.
Exactly. And I was actually on a via my church. We did like a Zoom call or whatever the case would be. And we actually had like a town hall roundtable discussion, and the conversation was about not changing for anyone. And I was like, no. I said, listen to me and listen to me clearly. I said, what I'm about to say, don't take it the wrong way, but take it in love and take it as genuine, knowledgeable information. When you walk into a room, you don't have to necessarily command the attention, but you are walking into a room as yourself, knowing your worth. When you open your mouth, you speak what you know, and the things that you don't know, you say, I'm not sure on it as of right now, but let me get back to you on that, and let me make sure that I'm clear on the information that I do have.
Yes.
Never make it seem as though that you don't know anything, because you know a lot.
Yeah.
You just may have not dived into it, but you know what it is that it is. So at the same time, like I told the young lady, I said, it's not about you going in there and turning off your geechiness or turning off, you know, your everyday being. But in order for you to move to the next level, you have to authenticate. You have to pronunciate. You have to articulate. You have to make sure that you know what you're talking about makes sense. Because I can sit on here and I can say, Manny Cola Chain, it ain't make no sense for me to sit here on this porch and go from there. But at the same time,
Go ahead, man. Oh, between that and the red rice I had, yeah.
Right. So if I'm sitting on my porch and somebody comes up, I'm going to literally say, if it's like, you know, family, that's what you're going to get.
Yep.
But if it's somebody that I don't know, I'm like, well, I'm sitting on the porch just relaxing, enjoying the day. But, you know, for the most part, it's been a really relaxed, satisfying day. Clear and precise.
Yep.
But if it's like a cousin of mine, man, I sitting on this porch just chilling, man. He ain't got nothing to do. Man, go on ahead now. Leave me alone. I trying to relax my nerve. I ain't got time for this today. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, it's a turn on, turn off type of thing. And most people, when they hear me speak and they ask me where I'm from, I'm like, yeah, I'm from Johns Island, South Carolina, by the way of Charleston. And it was like, well, we don't hear the dialect. I was like, well, I'm not hiding it, for one. But at the same time, if you just continuously have a conversation with me, you will hear a little bit of the dialect in there. But I pay homage to my English teacher, Miss Barbara Moss, who has literally, you know, told us all the time to enunciate, articulate, you know, presentation is everything. The overall presentation of what you want a person to see, because your first impression is always your last impression. There's no other impression that you can give once you've set the precedent for it. Like I always tell people, your narrative, nobody else writes that but you.
Yep.
You can't allow nobody else to write your narrative. So if you are allowing somebody to write your narrative, and then when they do write your narrative and you're firing off and you're upset and you're angry, hold on, wait a minute. Think about it. Did you really do what they said you did? If you didn't do what they said you did, then why are you responding? Why is there any conversation from it at all? Like when celebrities nowadays, they have people in their camp, and then the people in their camp will be like, well, like a reporter from E! News will be like, well, sources from Beyonce's camp said X, Y, and Z. Beyonce, you might want to get rid of that person because that person ain't for you. Or you know, like, and that's the thing. So when you're building your foundation and you're building your platform, you try to definitely make sure that the people that are ready and set to go are those people that you can trust. Because at the end of the day, building a personal brand so your professional brand can shine plays a lot into everything.
You just dropped.
It plays a lot into everything. And that's literally my tagline. Like, building a personal brand so your professional brand may shine. That is my tagline from here until I leave this earth.
I love that.
Like, on my tombstone, that's what needs to go on there. Because I literally want people to understand that if I cannot trust in you personally, how am I going to invest in you professionally?
So I got to say this, and I know this is going to piss some people off, right? This has been very controversial for a long time. The way you represent yourself and present yourself. Some people call it, there's words for it, code switching. Some people think it's, oh, you being fake. Oh, that's not real. When you meet people, you're letting them, you have an opportunity to let them know what they need to know about you. Everybody you meet and come into contact with is not going to know everything about you. But if you have a specific purpose or a specific goal in mind, you need to let them know what they need to know about you. I had an 8th grade teacher who talked to us about code switching. She told us why it was important. She was like, you know, you got to be able to transcend communication across different lines. Everyone you do business with and work with is not going to look like you. Everyone's not going to know how to receive you. You need to know how to communicate in a multitude of ways, which I believe is totally fine. It doesn't mean you are being fake or fraudulent.
Right.
It's like, let me make sure that what I'm trying to get across to you is coming across clearly, that you understand what I'm saying, that you understand what my intent is. And like what you just said, if I can't trust you personally, how am I going to trust you to do business with you? Like, exactly. I joke, I laugh and stuff like that. But when I was doing real estate, it was like, it was business. Like, I was on my game. And even my clients were like, Robert, you're so on point and you're taking care of us and we really appreciate you going the extra mile. And I would crack jokes and they would notice that I was funny. They're like, oh, you should crack more jokes. I'm like, I was like, I will, but I was like, I need to make sure your business is taken care of first. Because if your business is not taken care of, you're not going to be laughing. You're going to be like, where's my house? Or why is my house not sold? So let me let you know. And that also lets the person know, hey, I know how he deals with me. He about his business. So when he has to go talk to another agent or an attorney or a surveyor or an inspector, I know what that conversation is probably going to go like.
Exactly.
So And again, you like you just said, you control your own narrative, what people see, what people hear, and what they receive. You can't force them to interpret it correctly, but the best you
Right?
can do is show up and be the best version of
Of
yourself.
yourself.
But y'all really, especially you younger people who are listening, really think about that. And y'all can take anybody you want, any entertainer, any professional. I bet you even behind closed doors they learn paperwork. I bet you
Hello.
they read and they study. I bet you they
Exactly.
have financial managers and know a lot about finance and they know how to speak about it. Listen to some of these interviews from some of these older rappers when they're like,
And,
man, I had to lose millions of dollars before I had to learn, like, I got to walk into this room like this. I got to go into
yeah.
this situation like this because these people need to
Yeah.
know, all right, he not just
Yeah.
rapping. He not just talking about it. This dude know numbers.
Exactly.
This dude know what he needs to know. I want to do business with him. But
Exactly.
I'll get off of that.
I mean, and to piggyback on that too, Robert, is the fact that people need to really understand that when you are building your brand, whether it's personal or professional, you want to make sure that you have all of your ducks in a row. No one can tell you that if you one of the things that I do in my workshops is a color palette. My favorite color, or my signature color, is sapphire.
Mm-hmm.
So sapphire for me stands for royalty, regalness. And if you've ever seen any of my social media posts, like live videos or whatever, in the background there is a photo, a painting on my wall called A View of Royalty. Like, I told the artist I wanted something sapphire and gold, blue and gold. I needed something to just authentically speak about me. I looked again, I knock on my door, I open my door, here's the painting. And in my head, for the time that I spoke to him and up until now, it was like, oh, I needed to, speak royalty, I needed to speak regalness. And when I opened the door and he came in, he was like, hey, guess what? This is a view of royalty. When I tell you that thing dropped my heart into my stomach, because it was like understanding the magnitude of the connection of people that you have to be in line with. The one thing that I do all the time, and I still don't understand how God has chosen me to be this specific person, I can tell a person's characteristic, mannerism, before they even open their mouth.
Wow.
I can tell how well a
Discernment.
person, and literally, I can literally tell you if a person is going to be genuine or not. And it scares me because of the fact, and I use that word very strongly. It scares me, Robert, because there are people that I've been in contact with, and I'm like, okay, God, yeah, I've heard the saying, season, reason, lifetime, da 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 da
Oh
da.
yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, God, the reason why they came in, was it for me to check them and then leave? Was it for me to go into the business or the job, check them, and then leave? Like, and Robert, the honest to God truth, I worked at Cracker Barrel as their retail store manager. One of the worst Cracker Barrels, I think, probably to date. Went in, they had no expectation that this store would do well. But I went in, I did my business, I exposed people for who they were and what they were. And I promise you, when I left that, I think it was a year I was there, either a year, 8 months to a year. When I turned around, somebody that used to go there and eat all the time saw me and said, hey, I went to the Cracker Barrel the other day and they closed.
Ooh.
And I was like, what? He was like, yeah. He's like, they closed. I said, why? And he was like, oh, I don't know. So then I was trying to figure out. So I prayed about it. I was like, God, what happened? And as lightly as people might take it. Yeah, I might, be me and drink and do all other stuff, but I am very spiritual. God said, you exposed it for what it was, and we had to shut it down.
Dang.
And it scares me because you are getting the exclusive of my thoughts on this process, because I did not realize, and that thing still tickles me till this day, because I'm like, how in the world a little boy from Johns Island, South Carolina, by the way, of Charleston, ended up working for Cracker Barrel, going to their management conference in Orlando, Florida, coming back, X, Y, and Z, doing what he needed to do, leaving, and then they closed momentarily after his leave. And then, what is this, God? What are you trying to tell me? So now, Robert, I literally look at life as my connections are connections of purpose.
Yes.
They're connections of fluent interaction that would either benefit the both of us or benefit one more than the other. But I never was a person to say, I'm going to benefit more than you, or you going to benefit more than me. I was always a person that said, we're going to benefit together. Granted on how the other person might have thought about it.
I like that.
But at the same time, realistically speaking, yeah, Jarvis, you can be like, oh yeah, I'm going in this thing and we both going to benefit. But at the same time, if there's not matched energy, and I'm going to say that again, if there's not matched energy, if that energy does not match, or if it doesn't blend together, if it doesn't work together, then the funny thing about it is there is going to be an unbalanced relationship. It's going to be unhealthy. But guess who's still going to come out on top? The positive moment that you've been keeping the whole entire time. If you remain humble, if you remain specific to what it is and keep it moving. I tell you one thing, Robert. When I did plan the convention for Claflin, that was not an easy process. It was not easy because remember, you got a young alum trying to tell older alums how to get through stuff and how to make it make sense, and they're not listening. So then what do? You go in, you set the precedent, and then you watch the dominoes fall as they may. So then, and granted, President Tisdale is always debonair, always sophisticated.
Yeah.
He stood up to the podium, and President Tisdale said it just like this. He said, I showed up to the luncheon. Nobody was there to greet me. Out of all of my years that I was here at Claflin, I've always been greeted at the door. But today, I wasn't greeted at all. And I had to figure out where to go and how to get things done and whatnot. And that was the first time that I've ever experienced that. So here's the thing. We had a welcome committee. The welcome committee was there the day before. The next day, couldn't tell you where they're going. And I'm not throwing nobody under the bus, but they felt as though that, if Jarvis thinks he can handle everything, we gonna do this, and we gonna see how this play out. No, but again,
unmatched energy.
But Jarvis wasn't the only person on the planning committee.
Correct.
Jarvis might have been the overseer, and Jarvis knew who was supposed to be where. But at the end of the day, did it happen that way? So what happened? I had my conversation with President Tisdale, and President Tisdale understood. Because again, they failed to understand who I was.
Your relationships.
Because Jarvis was the pre-alumni council president 2 years running. Jarvis, when President Tisdale was celebrating 10 years at Claflin University, actually portrayed President Tisdale in a skit. So I got to know President Tisdale for who he was and how he is. So at the end of the day, me and President Tisdale had a relationship. They didn't realize that when Jarvis went to Texas for the National Pre-Alumni Council Convention and they did us wrong as a university, and Jarvis and Mr. Burgess and the rest of them thought that Jarvis was going to lose his cool, but Jarvis actually handled himself like a grown man when he was still a teenager. And when I got back to Claflin and sat down with President Tisdale face to face, and he understood the level of frustration that I was dealing with, but he also commended me on being the president that I was. And he said, now I understand the kind of man that you are. So at the end of the day, when you do what you did, you don't know the relationship that a person has already built amongst the community. So at the end of the day, when you do your dirt, remember the person that you're doing it. And I always tell people, and I don't know if it's censored or whatever on here, but you cannot fuck with the anointed, because the anointed is just what it is. Y'all, he is. Y'all, Robert fell out. Y'all, Robert fell out.
Yo, that's priceless.
Y'all, Robert fell out. Y'all,
I did fall out. I wasn't expecting it.
Just give him a minute to come back. Give him a minute to come back.
I'm coming back. You know, it goes back to what you said earlier, man. Those relationships, and when someone knows you and something happens, they know.
Yeah.
They know. He already knew. Jarvis wasn't behind this. I know something else is going on. Type deal. You know what I'm saying? When you go out and you try to sabotage somebody, it's always a bad move. What are you really proving? What are you really proving at the end of the day? Especially when it's a team effort. You're still a part of that team. Your name is still going to be a part of the legacy of whatever that is, good, bad, ugly, indifferent. You're doing it to yourself as well.
Yeah.
And how petty party? Come on, man. That's wow. But yeah.
And see, the thing is, they always try to come for the petty king, and you can't come for the petty.
Not the petty king. Man.
Like I gave my crown over to somebody else the other day because of what they said that they did on. They put a story on Facebook and how eloquently that they did it, and I passed the crown on. But I feel as though I'm gonna be getting it back momentarily, because there's gonna be a moment in life when I'm gonna have to be petty again. And I'm gonna get my crown back. But you know, that's me.
Jarvis, okay. I gotta do a second interview with you. We didn't even get to consulting really yet. Like, you touched on it, but we probably about to hit an hour here. So I'm trying to be mindful of our listeners. I don't know what y'all attention span is like that. I listen to long podcasts, but I listen to it in chunks. So I try not to give y'all too much to digest in one interview. But man, we could go on all day.
I'm here. I mean, we got 30 more minutes. They can live for 30 more minutes.
No. I can't do that. I'm gonna give you two. I'm gonna give you 2 parts, man. I'm gonna do 2 parts. But I can't believe they're trying to set you up like that.
Let's do the last question, and then we can run on in for the next one.
Because
you be here all day.
Give them since we didn't get into details, talk to them about your passion for consulting, and then just design in the way that you help people, realize their vision.
Okay. Literally, with the consulting side of everything, I make sure that the experience is key. As a client, you really don't know what you want. You might come in and say, oh, I want this, I want that. And I'll do one even better. I'll use a client that I actually have now. Her wedding is either in September or October. Can't remember right now because we're so far out. But she had a game plan. We sat down, we literally talked about everything. And then I started giving her ideas about doing this and doing that. And then looking at other opportunities and other options. I'm all about, creating an atmosphere or an illusion on a budget. Mm-hmm. I always feel as though a person has to live tomorrow. If you have the budget to blow it all out and make it happen, by all means do that. But if you know that your budget is somewhere around 10,000, 5,000 or less than that, then we sit down and we literally go through all of the aspects and the dynamics of what it would take to make your special day happen. Either if it's a birthday, a wedding, or a grand opening, or whatever it might be. We definitely always, as the Jwhite Consulting Firm, we want to make sure that the experience, that you receive the Rockstar experience. We want you to understand that there are different developments and elements to the business. You want to look at having a planner. You want to look at having a consultant. You want to look at having a designer. You want to look at having a florist, your DJ, your caterer. These are different components. One person cannot do all of the
You can't.
detailed work.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of people fall short in understanding that, oh, I'm going to give you $5,000 and you can just make everything happen. No, I have to resource, I have to outsource, I have to make things work. Because at the end of the day, if I said, oh, I'm going to take your $5,000 and you show up to your event and then nothing's there, then you're going to be mad.
Yeah.
So you got to remember that if I say, well, I'm going to do an all-inclusive $3,500 package, then do you want your $3,500 package to look like the wedding I did last month? Or do you want your grand opening to look like what it looked like last month? Because I tried to zero in on your personality, so that way your experience is what you build from everything. Because literally, Robert, you would be the one planning your own event. I'm just here to help you understand what it is that you want.
Oh.
If I don't tell you anything, if I tell you nothing else, I will tell you is you are planning your own event, because at the end of the day, when you sit down and cross your ankles and you're like, oh my God, I just had a phenomenal wedding, you can say, I got everything I want and more.
That's a good feeling.
And it was all because Jarvis gave me the direction to do what it needs to be done. It is not me coming in and telling you what you want. It's me making sure that you get what you want. And I hope they wrote that down. It's not you telling me what you want. It's me making sure you get what you want. Because you can tell me all day what you want, but if you don't know where to get it from, and you come to me to ask me about it, then I have to make sure you get it. And that's where the experience comes in. Because if I wasn't about the experience, then Robert, we wouldn't be doing this interview. You would literally be like doing a whole like remote, and we would be face to face right now, because I would fly you in or you would fly me in, and I'd be like, okay, Robert, here we go.
Yeah.
because if I was all about the money, then that's what it is. And see, the thing, and I'm going to use one of the key elements in the world, and I call her an element now because she's literally an element. Nothing happens in the world without people saying her name. Beyonce. Beyonce is an experience.
Wait a minute. Did you just
She's
call
an element.
Beyonce an element?
She's an element. Because nothing happens in this world without you mentioning her name. Like, she should be a part of the periodic table.
Yo. I wish y'all could see his face. He's looking at me like, why are you laughing?
Because I mean, I'm serious.
Like, I know.
Do you not think that I mean,
I can see
like,
why you
literally,
say that. I can see why you say that.
A lot of people don't look at her from my standpoint. Like, I don't care how many shows Beyonce put on. I always go back and I look at her start to finish. Like, I'm looking at when Beyonce did Coachella, I literally researched on how Coachella came together. Like, when you look at the amount of work that went into, the amount of research, the amount of time, the amount of authenticity that went into Coachella, you would really understand how the Mrs. Carter tour became about, how the On the Run tour came about. Those are productions that, like, I've always said since I was in middle school, high school, that I will one day work for the Miss Universe organization, because I always thought that was the biggest production in the world.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you look at like the Grammys, the Oscars, the Emmys, and you look at concerts, and then when when Beyonce gives you the ultimate experience on understanding on how she came about the whole to be, that's an element. Like, she takes you into her world. on what it looks like. So when you call me and say, Jarvis, I want you to plan my birthday party, I'm taking you into my world, but I'm going into your mindset and giving you your world full throttle, because I
I
want you
love
to
that.
understand that you just literally stepped into my world, because oh my God, Jarvis is about to tell me X, Y, and Z. He's about to give me all of these amazing ideas and concepts. Can I afford it? But at the end of the day, let's not be scared about can you afford it. Let's be concerning about how we can make it happen.
Hmm.
And that's the experience part. Because there's always a way to make things look amazing. But when you try to go over and try to match the Joneses and
Yeah.
the Peabodys and the Vanderhorses and stuff like that, you can't. What? How are you trying to do that? So at the end of the day, if we really look at our celebrities from their business acumen,
Mm.
we would really respect them more to understand that what we see on TV, it takes a lot of work.
It takes a lot of work for
It
yeah.
takes a lot of work. Like my new friend in my head is Jesse Collins. Like people don't know who Jesse Collins is,
I
but
don't
Jesse
know who that
Collins,
is. Go ahead.
Jesse Collins is the mastermind that just recently did the Oscars. Jesse Collins did the halftime Super Bowl show, and Jesse Collins is a black man.
Wow.
Jesse Collins has done some of the most phenomenal
Yes.
events virtually since we've been in the pandemic.
Yes. Those are
Like just
definitely historical events, especially with the conditions, like you said, them be having to be virtual with the conditions that were under with COVID.
exactly, exactly.
That's a lot of. You think in person stuff is stress? Just worrying about an
And
internet connection. This thrive.
when you
This is like hanging in the balance by an internet
exactly
connection.
when you go from the Kodak Theater or the Dolby Theater to then going to Union Station in LA to do the Academy Awards. And then not only doing the Academy Awards in Union Station, but then having to make sure that everyone who's coming to the Academy Awards has been quarantined for either a month or 14 days. And not only that, if they have to work, that they not do any like sexual scenes or anything that would cause them to get COVID. So now all of a sudden, everybody that's in that space has been quarantined for at least a month. Not only have they been quarantined for a month, but their plus one has to go through the same thing. So
Serious.
then when you get there, then you have to worry about how the show is going to kick off. So if nobody saw how the Oscars started, you had one of the most influential women in TV. Like I remember this girl as Brenda from 227.
Yeah.
Like Regina King opened the Oscars like a bad bitch would. Like I can't put it no other way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like she came in there like a rock star, but I will tell you this: they
Mm.
did use a Quentin Tarantino like outlook on the whole situation, because it was, I thought I was watching like Pulp Fiction, like when it first came on, because
Yeah.
it did like and it happened, but at the same time they had Regina King, and Regina King like stole the whole situation. Like the whole opening was all about her. She did it, mandated it, locked it in the box, and then like if there's any part of the Oscars I would talk about, that is still the to do day piece that I would talk about, because I love that about the Oscars. And granted, we're in a time where they're trying to make sure that Asian love is still available, black love is still
Yeah.
knowledgeable, but at the same time, when you throw it out there, I want you to throw it out there to where we see it, but we don't see it because of the fact that it needs to be addressed due to X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So at the same time, in the industry, and I know you touched on this earlier about in a competitive field, in a competitive atmosphere, yes, being in Charleston, South Carolina is very competitive. I have reached out to a number of like-minded and lookalikes
Yep.
that had not reached back.
Yep.
But the one person that did reach out, I didn't reach out to. And she reached out to me. And now when it happened, a lot of people were like, "Oh, so you going to go work with them? How do you mean work with them?"
I
Like,
tried to work with
like,
y'all.
right. This has been my relationship with Intrigue Event and Designs has been a 7-year run.
Woo!
Like nobody really knows that I have been
Congratulations on that.
working with them for 7 years. Like, the funny thing is, the owner of Intrigue Event and Designs actually started the same time that I did. So this year for her is also 13 years. So look how God matches energy without you even paying attention.
The business gems you have dropped. I'm stopping you. I gotta stop you. I'm stopping the interview, y'all. I gotta stop it. The business gems. The business gems. Without even saying, let me tell you about business. The brother just speaking business. I love how you fluently just bring in business / personal / philosophical.
Full circle. It's full circle.
Y'all.
Full circle.
I don't even think they caught that last part.
I don't think they did either. But at the end of the day, it's just all about living in your passion. Like, I don't have to tell you what my passion is, because if we talk long enough, you will understand that my passion is everything me. Like, I live and breathe Jarvis Lee White. Like, if I literally take you from my 5-year-old experience up until now, you probably would be in tears as I would be as I tell the story, because when I tell my like hardcore literal, like, being 5 years old, suffering with seizures and not understanding what was going on, flatlining on the table, my mom and my grandmama crying on each side of me, not understanding what was going on. Like, I live life to the fullest.
Wow.
I may not live it to the fullest of, traveling and doing X, Y, and Z, but when I wake up every morning and I'm either posting, tweeting, Facebooking, Instagramming, understanding what life looks like, and I'm laughing and joking, at the end of the day, Jarvis Lee White goes through a lot. Like, he does not have all roses and unicorns. It's not unicorns and rainbows and, like My Little Ponies around here. There's a lot that goes on to create the Jwhite Consulting Firm, to create the Jarvis White, to create the Rockstar. There's a lot. Like, the other day when I was on social media, like 2 Wednesdays ago, I literally had a breakdown. And ended up on somebody like text me and was like, "Hey, are we going to talk about my 600-pound life?" And I was like, "No, not tonight." And we're like, "Man, Jarvis, we looking for you." And I'm like, I had to gather myself together.
You are like the guru for my 600-pound life. I be seeing you point that out. I can't watch it, but Dad, I have so many more questions for you. Listen, go ahead and tell me how you gathered yourself, man. I gotta stop you. We gotta schedule you for part 2. I'm sorry, y'all. So the reason why I know some of y'all like, oh, keep going, y'all. This is the first interview. I've been podding. This is year 5.5-ish. This is the first interview. Yeah, I've been doing this for a long time.
Oh my God.
You're the first person I've interviewed that has like, you transformed everything. This is kind of one of the reasons why I prepare for interviews and I don't prepare for interviews, because you never know how they're going to turn out. But I'm really glad and happy that you have taken the way you've transformed and molded this interview. I mean, you did most of my job for me. Thanks. But
I do what I can.
Yeah. But it was some good stuff, man. I'm glad that it was very conversational, and I'm pretty sure that people are able to learn something very valuable from this. But go ahead back to your 600-pound life story. Go ahead, I'm gonna wrap you up. This is the last one. So you had a breakdown, but people were looking to you. And see, that's the other thing. You're very entertaining. And it's entertaining because I know you, and I know you dead ass serious. Like, some of y'all think that these are jokes. He's serious. And I come across some of his stuff. Like, lately he been posting some childhood snacks. And I'm like, this dude's sweet tooth is worse than mine. Like, I'm just like, you're just so relatable, man. You so down to earth, so cool, man. I really appreciate you, man. I do.
From the heart, I love it. I appreciate you as well. The crazy part is, and I'm going to do another name drop, Tiffany Johnson. She decided that she was going to reach out to me one day and was like, "Hey, do you watch my 600-pound life?" And I was like, "No, not at all." And she was like, well, no. It's my 1,000 pound life with
Excuse
Tammy and her
me?
sister.
Oh,
Yeah,
two people
like
weigh a combined 1,000.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was
Say what?
it's two sisters that actually are on this journey together trying to lose weight, but Tammy is like the focal of the show, and Amy was just pregnant or whatever. So,
What?
yeah, she was like, "I need you to plug in," and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna plug in, I'm gonna watch it." But then I didn't realize how serious it would have gotten. So then one day I was like, well, I'm gonna just go live and talk about my 600 pound life because the show had already ended with the sisters, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go on and just see, the tickle about it. So I didn't realize that people were going to be that entertained by it. So then I go, so then I try to fall back, like literally fall back, and every Wednesday, without fail, at 8:30, I get a text message or a phone call. Hey, do you know what time it is? And I'm like, what time is it? And I know exactly what time it is, and I know exactly what's on TV. And I'm like, I guess. So then I have to go get my ring light. I have to plug it up. I have to set up. Robert, and the thing is, and people always tell me, like, Jarvis, you need to do your podcast, you need to do a YouTube, you need to
Yeah.
do a Facebook Live or Instagram or something. And I'm like, what am I going to talk about? But at the same time, it's like when I get on here with like people like yourself, and it's like, oh my God, I'm talking about a whole number of things. And then you just like, oh, you just made my job easy. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, you ask questions, but what am I doing? So I just try to, like, my slogan, if I ever run for like any political office, my slogan is, I'm here for you. So like at the end of the day, I'm here for you. I'm here to help you move along and move things forward and, make things happen. So I'm like, again, 5.5 years. I am super proud of you. Congratulations on everything because you are killing it. I am paying attention, even if I'm not paying attention. And again, Robert, I thank you for this because this is, yeah, a lot of good things are going to come from this.
Yes, sir,
Very much
man.
so.
I thank
Yeah.
you again for joining us, and thank y'all for listening and continuing to support Mr. Jarvis L. White here. We're gonna have to have a part 2. This has been great catching up with you and getting these stories, these gems, man. You've actually given me a couple things I need to think about. I'm resting on this wonderful Sabbath, but tomorrow I do have some things I need to take care of, and I do need to nurture my relationships. I'm ready to take this podcast to the next level and do a couple things, and I need to reach out to some people. It's time to really call in the big guns. Those big favors. Hey, I'm coming.
Let's do it.
I'm coming, y'all. I'm coming. But before we get out of here, tell the folks where they can find you, follow you, and connect with you.
You can find me on Facebook at Jarvis L. White. You can find me on Instagram at Jwhite Consulting. You can find me on Twitter at Rock Your Brand 83. And LinkedIn is Jarvis White as well. So anytime you type in Jarvis and White, you will find me. And my picture is very noticeable. I am in a suit, a gray suit, and I'm ready to do business. So if you're ready to rock it out, let's get it. I am your rock star. And if you ever need any consulting, personal branding, knowledgeable information, professional development, I am here to work with you. Or if you just want to get some knowledge or anything, have a conversation, I'm willing to do that too. My knowledge does come with a $5 cup of coffee. So, you can always, Robert, stop. You can always cash at me that $5 because Starbucks is always a friendly drive away. So yeah, I'm here for it. And if you're ever in Charleston and want to have lunch or whatever, hit me up and we can do that too and have a conversation. So I'm very, very friendly. I know a lot of people say I'm not approachable, but I am very friendly to contrary belief.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Another episode of From My Experience podcast. All of his contact information will be in the description. So will ours. Once again, FME_podcast on Instagram. You can follow me personally on Instagram, complete spell with the K _vision. And on Facebook, From My Experience podcast. Check out our affiliates. There's a Linktree link. Definitely shop with our affiliates. That will help the show get to the next level and do a couple things. I just, I still have more laughs in me. I'm trying to wrap up, but I'm really laughing because some of the stuff he said is hitting me. But anyway, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourselves physically, mentally, financially. Jessica's not here, but I got you, Jessica, and spiritually. And we'll
Love
see
you,
y'all next
Jessica.
time.
That is my classmate. I love her. She's amazing.
Peace
Miss
out,
her.
y'all.
Peace out.